This is the Kenner Fast Ones pipe and hot casting. And it's a little kid painted. And a little beat to hell. The Fast Ones are known for their one-of-a-kind license plates, like you see there. And you may notice that rear bumper is kind of exaggerated, which I assume is because of that license plate. So I got some of these recently, and I wanted to mess around with them. And when I look at this casting, I can't help but see a fighter jet. And I don't know if that's what they intended, but that's what I see in it. So, first things first, I got to get past all of that kid paint. So, drilled it out, got the base apart. It has a plastic base. And as you'll see here in a second, it took a little wiggling to get it apart. I was surprised to find a spider web inside of it, which I wish I could say that was a rare happening, but when you buy a lot of old junk cars, you get a lot of old dead spiders with them too. They kind of sneak in there, and sometimes you'll find the dead spider, sometimes you just find the web. This time it was just the web. So it has a plastic base, and then the interior, it has the engine and like the intake areas in that back bumper are all originally chrome. But as it turns out, there's another post right there where my thumb is. Right there. And it's actually what's holding the glass in place. So I drilled that out. And part of the problem was there was so much kid paint on this, it was tough to get apart. The kid paint was holding it together. But I finally got that chrome inside piece out. And there you can see, most of it was fine. Getting the glass out, though, was difficult because of all the kid paint. And as it turns out, the glass was cracked. It's not in great shape, and obviously it's not like you can buy a replacement glass for a Kenner Fast Ones piping hot. But I figured I could save this one. I didn't want to try and vacuum form a piece for it because it wouldn't have the detail that this did. And to be honest, this turns out okay. I thought about vacuum forming it if this didn't work. But to really decide, I needed to get that paint off that glass. So first things first, that glass gets thrown in super clean, which, thank God for super clean. Between getting paint off plastic and getting chrome off plastic, it's a saving grace for me. So there you see it. There's the crack. And the glass is kind of rough. But with a little sanding, and very light sanding, and a little polishing, and a boatload of gauzy, I figured I could save this thing. So since I realized I could save the glass, I thought, okay, let's move on. So I threw the chrome into the super clean. And because I do have part of the end result chrome, as you'll see, I end up re-chroming the engine. But the rest of it I wanted black, because again, this is going to be fighter jet. So there you see the casting itself, which is pretty clean, pretty nice. Had some nice detail on it. I did take a file, and this is going to be sped up quite a bit here. It's kind of cool when you speed up the filing, and it almost makes it look like the file is floating, even though in each one of those little movements, there may be 20 swipes of that file. So the sped up, it's not only deceiving because of the speed, but it's also deceiving because of the smoothness to it. I kind of like the effect. But anyhow, worked on that for a while and got it cleaned up as much as I thought I was. I wasn't going to give this thing a SpectraFlame type paint job, so I ended up hitting this thing with an enamel paint, one I had on hand because I particularly like the color. So the posts on this thing are like the old Hot Wheels posts. They're tiny posts. I did not even attempt to tap the one for the glass. That would have just been stupid. So I did tap the one at the front and the back to hold the base in place. For that, I used 172 screws, which, are ridiculously tiny. But that's all you can pretty much get away with on this thing because of the tiny little posts, the exceptionally thin posts. But that worked out fine. They tapped, drilled and tapped easily enough. You may notice at the left I had a variety of taps. I was trying out one that has a flat base instead of a point to it because these weren't exceptionally long posts, or at least one of them wasn't. And that actually worked pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. So I'm happy I got that for those short post situations. At this point, I had the glass pretty much as good as it's going to get. So, it's time to dunk it. So, it's time to get out the good old gauzy and get dunking. So, fortunately, this did have a nice area to hang on to with the tweezers. So just give it a good coat of gauzy. Wick off the excess and then put it under the protector so that it doesn't get any fuzz or anything. You can't beat gauzy on a glass like this one where you're trying to save it, because it does put a nice thick coating. It also helps the strength of that glass because it's thick. So I knew that cracked area, this would, in effect, fix it in a way. It would hold it together. You're not going to be able to stand on it or anything. But, for this purpose, it'll help hold that together perfectly fine once it's dry. So there you see it after I've hit this with the flat gold gray Model Master enamel paint. And because it's enamel, I wasn't able to use my clear lacquer that I love. So I went with the fast drying poly Minwax clear gloss because I was putting decals on. Searched around online for some military aircraft decals that I wanted. I wanted basically the low visibility designs, which are either, like in this case, a dark gray or black. No real colors to them. Like you don't see red, white, and blue on the US logo. It's all black or dark gray. There is a much lighter gray variation as well, but I didn't think that would work. I wanted more visibility for the decals than that. I wanted low visibility, visible decals. So there you see it after I've got the decals on it. I didn't get carried away with the decals. And then after the decal set, I hit it with the Minwax Poly Clear Satin, which, to be completely honest, I've never been thrilled. As happy as I am with the clear gloss, the clear satin always leaves me a little disappointed because it doesn't give you a really nice uniform flat finish that I would like. Busted out the Hot Wheels Real Riders. Wanted to go with the Steelies. I thought that would look good, the chrome Steelies. On the interior, you see how I did that flat black for the bumpers and the intake areas. I hit the chrome spray for the engine, and then just a few seconds ago, you saw me hand painting the interior gunmetal. Now for the Steelies, originally I was going with the set from that Real Riders box. Small fronts, larger backs. And I'm thinking I'm finished at this point. I'm happy with the glass. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the way the decals all turned out. And so I'm putting it together. And everything's working out well. The interior drops in. I added some painted details as well, but they're very subtle. I didn't want to get carried away with it. I really wanted to make this look like, in effect, an F-14 coming off a carrier deck. And didn't want it too super fancy. But there you see, I'm looking at this thing, and I'm just not happy with those small front wheels. And I had test fit this before, and I was happy with the wheels, thought it looked okay, all of that prior to paint. But then I'm looking at this once it's painted, and those small front wheels suck. So fortunately, I had another box of the Real Riders. So I ended up just using 2 of the larger back sets. So the backs I didn't change, I just added matching ones in the front, which fit fine. But I thought it gave it a much better look than those stupid small front wheels. So now I've got 2 sets of small Steelies that I'm sure I can find a purpose for on something. And it's a good reason to get extra boxes of those Real Riders. I think they have a limit on the boxes to like 5 that you can get. I think the most I've bought of any of them is 2, possibly 3 of one of them. But, there's 4 sets of those. So, anyhow, I think it looks much larger. It looks much better with those larger wheels. And it is a roller. You'll see here in a second, I think. So there's where we started. Beat to hell, kid paint, Kenner fast ones, piping hot. Yeah, I don't know if you see it in there, but I see a jet. And I sure as hell wasn't going to put a custom license plate on it. There's where it ended up. I'm happy with this. I hope you like this build. I want to apologize if I sound a little lackluster during this video, because I'm just I'm a little out of it right now. So anyhow, I should be back up to speed here hopefully soon. But there you have it. I hope you like this build, and there's some glamour shots coming up here in a few seconds. Everybody, thank you so much for watching the channel and watching these videos. And stay safe and healthy out there. I'll catch you in the next one.